Hi, thanks for joining a new video. Today we review the OPPO Watch X2 Mini. Let's begin. We are discussing the only watch that OPPO officially distributes in Mexico. The price of this watch is 6,199 Mexican pesos, which is about $310. So you can see that it is quite a high price. However, it does have an extensive distribution, which means you might find it at a discount with some distributors. But I must emphasize, this is the sole version of 43.2 millimeters available. Now, let me tell you everything about it. Let's begin with the most apparent feature. It's a watch with a round format. We're going to encounter a curved crystal D, which is designed to provide a more seamlessly integrated aesthetic with this crystal. However, the bezel is notably pronounced, meaning the screen isn't as large as one might initially think. Thankfully, this watch has a thickness of approximately 11 millimeters and a weight of 37.8 grams, making it relatively comfortable to wear. Consider that it comes with high-quality materials, as the case is made of 316L stainless steel for the black color version. And for the gold version, we see stainless steel that is plated with 18-karat rose gold, providing quite a premium touch. From a design perspective, I believe they are indeed very attractive watches due to the materials used. However, I must insist, I would prefer to see slightly smaller bezels. Luckily, they have IP68 and 5 ATM resistance, so you can even go for a swim if you want to, without any complications. In the quick settings, there's a mode to eject water after water activities and another to lock the screen when entering them, so it's like it's split into two. As I expected, it's available in black and white with gold. The black version has fluoroelastomer bands, while the gold edition features genuine leather bands. Using a regular pin, a buckle, thus they're seen as traditional watches. In both cases, you can swap the bands using a traditional mechanism. As you may notice, we have a button that doubles as a digital crown, allowing us to navigate the watch. With one touch, we open the app drawer, and with two touches, we can toggle between the last two open apps. It's important to note that this two-tap gesture is customizable, enabling you to choose whether you want to access the recent tasks list or any other app. By pressing and holding this digital crown, we are able to access Gemini. You can also configure it to open any other application, but having Gemini provides excellent capabilities. We'll discuss this more in detail later. Additionally, there is another side button that, with a single touch, takes us directly to the workouts page. With two touches, it navigates us to Google Wallet. However, once again, we have the option to configure any other application we desire with these gestures. Then, I think the buttons are quite advantageous, as we have multiple options to select the one we prefer. The screen is a 1.32-inch AMOLED display with 466 x 466 pixel resolution, typical for smartwatches. As I mentioned, it includes glass D to provide a nice curved finish to the edges and features a peak brightness of approximately 1000 nits when set to the highest brightness mode. It's a screen that performs well under sunlight, but it isn't the most extraordinary. Given the watch's notably high price, one might expect a display with even greater brightness. However, to be honest, brightness isn't bad at all. It offers a good level of detail and clarity. It is a screen that is perceived well. It looks smooth too, so there is not much to complain about it. Regarding the software, it comes with automatic brightness function, also brings always on display that has equivalent dials, something that is really very nice when you're using it, because even dials with white background will have their equivalent always on display dial that we do not always see in smartwatches. And naturally, it includes a turn function, allowing you to activate the screen with a wrist twist. It also features customizable video covers to give your watch a unique flair. There's a great variety of covers available, so there's no complaint there. The only thing missing is a special night mode found in other watches that turns the screen red. When it comes to sound, it's important to note that this watch features a built-in speaker and microphone, allowing you to make calls and interact seamlessly with the Google Gemini voice assistant I talked about earlier. Additionally, the watch enables local music playback using Bluetooth headphones, as it supports the installation of services like Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and many others that you can find on the Google Play Store. You could also manage your cell phone music directly from your wrist with this watch, offering comprehensive support in every aspect. Gemini is designed to function swiftly and efficiently. Keep in mind, it is an artificial intelligence assistant, so you can ask it any question and it will provide an answer for you. Having that capability right on your wrist is truly remarkable and outstanding. In closing this section, you should be aware that the vibration motor is situated on the X-axis. It feels quite solid, and provides good accuracy. However, it's not as powerful as the more intense motors found in higher-end watches. For health monitoring, it includes a basic activity tracker for steps, kilometers traveled, active calories, workout time, activity time, and daily goals, specifically related to heart and blood. You can additionally configure a distinct alert for a high heart rate during exercise. Real-time monitoring can also be accessed in the settings, but it must be done via the cellular settings, since the watch itself doesn't permit altering the monitoring frequency through cellular directly. You also have the option to set up alerts for both high and low heart rates. By the way, these alerts are available when you enable the smart setting. Additionally, you can configure a separate alert specifically for a high heart rate while you are engaging in exercise. You also have a heart rate monitor for when you're at rest, as well as rhythm monitoring during sleep, and of course, blood oxygenation levels. Although this monitor is disabled by default, you can choose to activate it if you wish. It can also send alerts for low saturation levels, which require constant monitoring and will use a bit more battery. The watch lacks advanced monitoring features. It doesn't have an electrocardiogram or other details found in competitor watches, even those at lower prices. Therefore, I must emphasize that this watch is quite costly. However, it does include sleep monitoring capabilities, providing a sleep score and analyzing in its different phases such as light, deep, or REM, and is also able to detect risk of respiratory problems. Although this function is disabled by default, and activating it will consume more battery. It would also have snoring detection, although you have to manually initiate this from your cell phone, so it's not as practical in everyday life, and it can also give you a breaths per minute data. On other topics, it also gives you stress monitoring based on your heart rate variability. It includes a mind and body assessment feature, along with mascot covers that connect to your mood, allowing you to quickly see how your body is responding. So these are just small details. Consider that it comes with menstrual cycle tracking, but it is simple as it does not have a temperature sensor, so it will have a very basic prediction for emergencies. It also has fall detection and SOS alerts, but this function is disabled by default. If you turn it on, it will consume more battery. When it comes to sports, it offers over 100 different sports modes, providing a wide variety of options to choose from. Even with automatic detection for 6 activities like walking, running, cycling, swimming, rowing, or elliptical, which you can individually toggle. Running is on by default for each exercise you have. Set your target, like distance, time, or calories, and get info on your wrist while exercising. You have steps or other parameters, plus your heart rate zone to see if you're burning calories. Yet, and direct access to the music player. Integrated, but you can keep exercise monitoring in the background to do other tasks like answering a WhatsApp message and then return to your exercise. In this sense, the experience is quite sophisticated. Consider that it also has automatic pause, which you can deactivate, and by voice it will give you feedback. For instance, each time you finish a kilometer, you get feedback. Sadly, it lacks the feature to create custom routines and start multiple exercises with one touch. However, it includes GPS for various satellite systems, ensuring high accuracy for outdoor workouts. You will also notice that the O-Health application, which is the one that synchronizes all your data, is also compatible with Google Health Connect and Strava, in case you want to use this watch on those services. The battery has a capacity of 354 meters, which, according to the manufacturer, can last up to 60 hours with standard use. That's 2.5 days. In that sense, I think the manufacturer has achieved something positive. With heavy use, the promised duration is about 36 hours or a day and a half, and with power saving mode, you might get up to 7 days. Keep in mind, this watch uses a hybrid of 2 operating systems. For basic tasks, it will use a home operating system, and for complex tasks, it will use Wear OS. That is why they managed to alternate these 2 operating systems to achieve greater autonomy. The secondary operating system is called ATAS and is obviously basic, but for very simple tasks, it can be functional. That's why when you enable the power saving mode, somehow Wear OS is disabled, leaving only the basic functions of the watch. But generally, if you charge your watch daily, it's not advisable to wait for a full discharge if you use always on display. In my test, using the watch for a day with sensors on and always on display, used 55% of the battery. So reaching 2 days with always on display would be impressive, but not recommended. Luckily, it charges very quickly. The manufacturer actually promises just 10 minutes. The time it takes to charge for a full day of use is surprisingly quick, and we can actually believe it. With just 15 minutes of charging, it reaches up to 68%. This charging speed is incredibly fast, and it stands out as one of my favorite features of this watch. They've achieved this impressive speed by using pins for charging rather than a magnetic method. While it may not feel like the most modern experience, it certainly doesn't bother me. The ability to offer such a rapid charge truly enhances our enjoyment of the watch. This process, in 30 minutes, it reached 98% and fully charged in 39 minutes. The manufacturer promises 0 to 100 in an hour, but it's faster. The experience is intense. Now let's discuss more in detail about the software we will encounter in this watch. As I mentioned earlier, it features a sort of combination of two different operating systems. This means we will enjoy the flexibility of Wear OS, which allows us to install a variety of applications from the Google Play Store. However, simultaneously, certain applications and the home screen will be integrated with another operating system that is designed to consume less power, providing a more efficient experience. That's excellent regarding power, although the experience could be somewhat affected. There are specific moments, like when a widget might display loading for a few seconds. In particular, widgets from Wear OS applications might show this. However, all system widgets won't face any waiting time issues. But I must emphasize, widgets from Wear OS applications might indeed have this delay. Notice that by pressing the main cover, we can switch between options available here. A positive is that these covers, they allow customization. Notice they all have an edit button to adjust parameters. For instance, on this cover page, we could change the displayed element. In the middle, also the style to various colors, for instance, or additionally here, the hue of the other accompanying elements. But it is not only customization at the color level and aesthetic elements, but in some covers we could also change the indicators that appear inside, but not all of them. Notice how there are some covers that only allow customization. Customization in terms of colors means we lack complete and supreme versatility. However, if there are certain covers that, for instance, will enable us to make changes, the elements present here, including shortcuts and the various indicators surrounding them. However, I wish there was even more extreme customization for covers, allowing you to create your own options in the app. We can also view all these covers and explore new features. There's also a customize section, making it easier to modify each cover's elements if we want more space, which is definitely a plus. Think about it. If there exists a store where we can go to download additional covers, and in certain instances, even include some mascots, for instance, they come in various categories. However, besides the store that's specifically for this watch, you can also access the app market section. Interestingly enough, it's actually Google Play, and here you have the option to download some other covers, although of course, it's important to note that these will consume more energy than the ones that are already integrated with the operating system. Sliding from the top down, we access the Quick Control Center, which has several elements. For example, it gives us access to Google Wallet directly from here, so you can see your boarding passes or your payment cards. This is an important feature that obviously requires you to have a lock pin set up, but if you could pay directly with the watch, which is very attractive. It also includes the airplane mode, and you can lock the screen. There's another button for ejecting water when engaging in water activities. Plus, it has a button you might use 6 times daily to locate your device by making it beep. Additionally, you'll find a go to sleep mode to prevent interruptions during rest, or a do not disturb mode, which functions similarly. You can access the flashlight directly from here as well. Take note that the flashlight it lacks brightness adjustment with the digital crown. We can swipe to change colors. Then we'll locate the option to control the brightness. I had mentioned earlier that it features automatic brightness, which you can also utilize. In this section, we find the option to connect wireless headphones directly to the watch. It also includes volume control and a sound mode, allowing us to choose between vibration or sound. Additionally, we have a quick overview of the battery status, along with an option to access the direct settings, enabling you to adjust various other preferences. Here, we also find the battery usage mode. The smart mode is where you'll find Wear OS if you activate it. Battery saving mode will disable Wear OS, leaving only the basic functions of the watch. And finally, you have access to the settings as you have already seen. Sliding to the sides, we are going to find all the widgets and more elements that obviously we can customize by holding down to change their position or also to add new elements. Remember, Wear OS widgets will appear here too, but might load slower than system widgets. I like this fusion of systems to enhance the experience. The battery. By sliding from the bottom to the top, we gain access to incoming notifications. It's important to note that when we're using an application, notifications appear at the bottom to avoid interruptions. Furthermore, it conveniently groups all the messages you receive, preventing them from appearing as separate notifications. This feature certainly provides us with an exceptionally good user experience. It handles notifications almost perfectly. Notice we also have the option to reply directly. We can select here to reply with an emoji, dictate a message, or use the keyboard. Let's try the emoji function to see how it works. Here's the full list of emojis divided by categories. In this sense, it fully supports a good experience for going backwards. Interestingly, the gesture is disabled, but we can press 10th now. Let's open voice dictation. Hi, could you send emojis to check if I can see? That's it. We can send the message or use the keyboard. I'll show you soon. Notice it easily displays common emojis like clocks in the market. And naturally, with Wear OS, you will also have the ability to display more complex emojis, ones that aren't quite as common. This certainly enhances your experience significantly. Now, let's respond using the keyboard and explore how typing works in this manner. It features a predictive keyboard and includes gesture typing as well. For instance, let's type something. You can also send a sticker. Let's take a look. Here it is. You can indeed write like that as well. Now, keep in mind that when it comes to stickers, if you have automatic download enabled on your phone, it might take a few seconds. However, it can also directly display the stickers being sent to you. If your cell phone has already downloaded them, then it won't take those few seconds. However, the experience here is truly outstanding, primarily because it utilizes Wear OS. This feature is fantastic, as it allows you to view pictures directly on the device. Nonetheless, it's important to ensure that your phone has the option to automatically download multimedia items in WhatsApp enabled. This is essential for the pictures to be accessible on the device. Given this capability, it undoubtedly deserves a 5-star rating. The convenience and functionality provided by Wear OS make it a top choice for users seeking a seamless experience. Overall, the combination of these features elevates the user experience to a supreme level. And in this case, if you receive multiple messages from different types of contacts, note that the watch also does a very good job grouping conversations correctly. Oh yes, it could get a little crazy if you're trying to read a message and you get another one, because sometimes it bounces to the top screen, but in general, it behaves quite well. For example, notice how here we can see all this conversation message by message. We are also able to view the other notifications that were arriving here, and we can read all these messages grouped together. We don't need to enter a notification, exit, and then enter the next one individually. By pressing the button, we will enter the list of applications. Let's talk about some that I haven't mentioned, which aren't related to sports or physical monitoring. For instance, here, we have the alarm settings. I want you to notice that in this case, you can configure the name for the alarm and also change the tone for this specific alarm. It's more advanced than the alarms found on most watches available in the market today. This feature allows for greater customization and personalization, making it stand out from the typical options you might find elsewhere. Then we are going to find, for example, with the Google Calendar directly. Additionally, with contacts, there is an option here that allows it to function as a type of control mechanism. When playing a video on your cell phone, observe, for example, how we can slide here. To switch into full screen mode, or maybe not, we could also go back to the previous one or move forward to the next one. It doesn't work at 100%. Sometimes it seems like it can't quite grasp what we're trying to say. However, it might function in some manner, especially on short video platforms. These platforms often use gesture-based controls. For instance, when we're on TikTok, by scrolling like this, we could potentially make it work. Scrolling the various contents. This is a function that I had not seen so far in other smartwatches. We also find all the playback control center. The stopwatch application that does allow us to record laps, obviously. Then there is the Gemini section, which will definitely be one of the most attractive aspects of the watch because you can ask it anything you want. Hello, Gemini. Tell me what things would you suggest I ask you directly from a watch? I suggest concise questions about time, date, weather, quick conversions, or simple calculations. You are also able to give me more complex information and continue the conversation with context. Note that here you are making it clear that as an assistant on the clock, you are able to give me complex information. Although on the watch you can't go deep since chat history isn't accessible, it's still useful for accessing Gemini. You can use the button, as I mentioned, with a 5-minute timer. I often use it, though I'm unsure about the timer, but the button works as I said. Check the timer to ensure it's activated smoothly. You could ask it to set an alarm for today at noon, and that's it. Also, ask it to add events to the calendar, like an event on October 15th. named. During the test event, you'll notice that it requests the time as 1 in the afternoon and connects seamlessly with Google Calendar. That's all there is to it. It's truly excellent. Gemini operates exceptionally well on this watch, making it a fantastic addition that you won't find on many other watches. Then we will even find Google Maps. So from the watch, you can see the directions to tell you when to turn right or left. Very useful when you're walking. You have access to messages, and as I said, you have access to Google Play Store. Then you will have access to many more applications. In this case, as Amazon Music, Adidas Running, homework applications. The catalog here is incredibly extensive. I want to give you a quick tour to give you an idea of the applications you can enjoy, but I must say it's quite a long list. This is excellent news because you are going to have many possibilities when you have that app store. Then in this case, for example, would have Spotify that if it allows us to download local music, I have the wallet. And of course, YouTube Music is also present. Then they are some of the capabilities that we find. Curiously, it doesn't have an integrated camera shutter, which seems too strange to me. So for that, maybe you will require to install some Wear OS app. That's one of its weakest points. In-app. Notice that we also have a parental control mode option. Curiously, it is going to restrict us a little more access to the internet from any other application, including the clock. We will also have the option to configure the tiles, which are referred to as widgets. This allows us to change their position, as well as add the or remove items as needed. Also here, you can select how notifications will behave if you want to stop receiving notifications at certain times, or also manage the list of apps that can send you notifications. Also here, we have the configuration of everything that will detect exercise and salt. Remember that the more options you turn on, the faster it will drain your battery. And lastly, we have another section dedicated to general settings. From this section, you can even capture screenshots or transfer the watch to a different device. So essentially, those are all the actions you can perform directly from the watch itself. And of course, here you also find a compilation of all the data that the watch has monitored for you. In conclusion, what makes this watch very interesting is the combination between two operating systems, Wear OS, with which you can have very good app support, very advanced features in terms of notifications, WhatsApp, and more. And another operating system called RTOS, which is going to allow us to have the watch not have such a high battery consumption as we see in Wear OS. So this combination is going to make the battery a point. Let's consider, specifically highlighted by having support for Wear OS, because this is not a watch that you'll be able to charge just once a week or anything like that, unlike what we might observe in some other categories. But I insist, considering that it has Wear OS and that you can install very complex applications such as Spotify, Amazon Music, WhatsApp, Google Maps, Google Gemini, and many, many others, it becomes more prominent in battery than others with Wear OS. And just having access to Gemini is another of the attractions of this watch, because you can ask quite complex questions or add events to the calendar, and more simply, by talking to your watch. The design hasn't quite won me over, especially due to the notably large bezel surrounding the screen. However, what I truly appreciated is the fast charging feature. It's excellent and works 2 pins. Interestingly, for the price, this may seem outdated or quite old-fashioned, yet it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it's actually beneficial that it charges through pins because it is incredibly fast. So even though this isn't a watch you'll be charging just once a week, honestly, the loading times will probably be around 15 to 20 minutes, and that should be sufficient. So I think it is a watch that can become quite competitive, although its price is a little higher than I would like, especially considering that it does not integrate any more attractive element in terms of monitoring your health. That is, it measures the basics and that's it. But it does not have sophisticated measurements such as electrocardiogram, some parameter related to blood pressure or blood glucose, something like that. But not here. Let's say it is in the basics only. So you come to understand this has significant advantages as well as significant disadvantages. Ultimately, it will be up to you as the user to decide if you want it or not, depending on your specific needs and preferences. For now, we've come to the conclusion of this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to let us know, and we look forward to seeing you.